You're listening to nothing important.
Because I think what you hear is my computer microphone, and I'm recording this one separately, whereas you are recording that one and using it in the program as well.
Right, but yeah, so it's going through Google whatever, but it's also recording in the background on Audacity.
Right.
Motherfucker. All right, ready?
I wonder what the order of instantiation is.
Yeah, the instantiation. Yeah, that.
You got to remember that as an engineer, man. The order of instantiation.
Yeah, gotta get that order. I have no idea what that means.
You don't insert plugins. You don't add plugins. You instantiate the plugin.
Oh, I insert them. Don't you worry about that.
It's some weird form of instance, I guess. Instantiate.
I insert them hard.
What was my opening? Oh, I had an opening?
You had an opening?
Oh, shit, I had it. Fuck. When you asked me how it's going, I had a response plan.
Right, but you didn't even know what I was going to say.
Yeah, I got it.
You didn't even know what I was...
That's okay.
Oh, is this like an all-purpose opening?
It's okay. It's just relevant to this time and place.
It's like an all-purpose opening, so it's like when somebody says, like, hey, Dave, haven't seen you in a while, and you're like, fine, because you anticipate them asking you how you're doing.
Do it all the time.
It's like one of the weirdest social things ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's so awkward because not only because people are used to people just kind of fading out and not paying attention to them, but you're not paying attention to the person from the get-go.
Right.
Like from word one, you're not even paying attention to the context of the conversation.
Well, I like how "how's it going" means hello.
Mm-hmm.
So I have kind of a disconnect with that sometimes because I want to answer the fucking question, but you don't really care how it's going.
Right.
So you're just like, "How's it going?"
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. The expected reply is, yeah. All right. You ready? So let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now I can use my opening that I wanted to use when you asked me how it's going.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
You're listening to nothing important.
This is the Nothing Important Podcast. Insert witty tagline here. My name is Bryan, and with me, as always, is my telephone ringing. Hold on one sec. Dave, how's it going today?
Sneezing fits are scary when blood starts showing up on the napkin. I just sneezed like 30 times, dude. Like, it's seriously to the point where I got a little disoriented.
Yeah,
and,
that's
just
the worst.
Mad.
First off, blood is never a good sign anywhere. but one of the worst feelings in the world is when you sneeze and it hurts your eyes. It hurts the back of your eyes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People detach their retinas from sneezing, dude.
That really happens?
Yeah. Sammy Sosa sneezed during swinging. Like in a game, he was swinging and sneezed at the same time, threw his back out. It's a hard motion. Your whole body is involved in a sneeze, and things can get a little crazy.
Holy cow, I did not know that. Dave and I also host the Better Call Saul podcast called It's
We
All
were
Good,
just
Man.
both talking at the same time with a frozen screen.
All right, let's just start this whole episode over. You ready?
All right.
All right, just scrap all that, Dave. All right, ready?
Okay.
You're listening to nothing important.
All right, this is the Nothing Important Podcast. Insert witty tagline here. My name is Bryan, and with me, as always, is my favorite size. Whatever. Hold on. All right, ready? See, I always come up with it on the fly. So hold on.
You're listening to nothing important.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Nothing Important Podcast. My name is Bryan, and with me, as always, is my favorite KFC value meal, Dave. Dave, how's it going? The most obvious one.
You froze.
Did I?
I don't know what you said. You froze. Now you're not frozen.
All right. All right. Ready?
Fucking Comcast.
Ready?
You're listening to nothing important.
This is the Nothing Important Podcast. My name is Bryan.
No,
and
you're
with
freezing
me-
again.
Seriously? Are you
Yeah.
fucking with me?
No.
All right. Are you ready?
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay, I'm going to kill like this so it's easier to tell if I freeze. You ready?
Okay.
You're listening to nothing important.
Yum, yum, yum.
Please enjoy the show. That's great. That works.
This is the Nothing Important Podcast. My name is Bryan, and with me, as always, is Dave. I'm just going to go with Dave because we've now tried that 6 times. So, Dave, how's it going today?
Oh, fucking Comcast. Yeah, we keep trying to do the intro. We're video chatting and we keep freezing on each other. So I don't know how Brian's been introducing me for the past 5 times in a row. But I'm Dave, and I just lost my Comcast connection that your brother gave us to watch Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, apparently he doesn't have Comcast anymore.
Well, that's good. Comcast is such a shitty company. That's why I recommend Sling. And that totally sounds like a plug, and fuck it, it is, because they are awesome. Look, they do not sponsor this show at all. I'm going to put that out there. They do not sponsor this show. But
No, they don't.
I went with Sling TV since day one, and they had a bunch of hiccups. But recently, it's worked like a charm, and they have 2 different packages. But I have the $25 a month package that gets me like 45 channels. So, and on top of Hulu and Netflix, I see absolutely no reason to ever have to deal with regular cable companies again. And as soon as my neighborhood gets some other internet company in it, besides Comcast, I'm gonna go tell Comcast to go fuck themselves. Because that's the weird thing about living in the city is how cable companies work in big cities is the cities actually own the franchise of that cable company.
Huh.
Because they have to use so much of the infrastructure to, support it with the wires and such. So cities usually buy a franchise of the cable company, and they help provide a lot of the services going into the cities and such, right? So in Chicago, there's 3 different companies. There's 3 different companies that provide internet into the neighborhoods of Chicago. The problem is one of the companies' territory ends 1 block over. The other cable company's territory, they plan on moving into our neighborhood, but not for another 3 years. So I'm like, well, what the fuck is the point of I can't switch? And then Comcast is literally my only option right now as far as internet. But as soon as I can dump Comcast, I'm going to be more than happy to do so. They are such a shitty company.
Yes, we've well documented our disdain for that company.
Absolutely. Coming up later in the episode this week, we have Cherkis, who is a writer for AMC's Better Call Saul. Dave,
Executive story editor.
Dave had a great conversation with her. I wasn't able to make it on the interview, but it was a great interview, Dave. Way to go.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. I tried.
So
I was a little nervous, but I tried.
So, it's great, and I hope you guys stick around and listen to it. So earlier today, I took the kids to go get Portillo's. For those of you who don't live in Chicago, I think they're kind of spreading out now that Portillo's sold itself, and now a bunch of people can buy into the franchises some other company owns it. And I guess they're trying to bring it like nationwide. So if you ever run into a Portillo's, you definitely want to get their hot dog and you want to get their Italian beef. For me, the closest Portillo's is in downtown Chicago, which is about a 5-minute ride from my house. It's on LaSalle Street, I believe. It's no big deal at all for me to get there. So the thing about businesses downtown is few of them have drive-thrus, but if they have a drive-thru, it's always quicker to go into the drive-thru than it is to go into the restaurant, stand in line, and get your food because they place such a priority on drive-thru. So me and the kids, we have what's called car dates, right? So like if they want hot dogs, we'll go to Portillo's, go through the drive-thru. We'll get our food, and we'll just pull off somewhere and basically have a picnic in the Jeep with the top off. It's kind of fun. The kids like it. There's one spot, as I turn right out of Portillo's, there's one spot where they're building a new high-rise. It's like 17 stories or something like that. And they have like those big diamond signs that say lane closed. Right?
Okay.
So it closes the lane going that direction about a block in front of where the construction starts for this high rise. So the 3 lanes go down to 2 in the span of a block, and it's just after a stoplight. So on the other side of the lane closed sign, it creates like this nice little haven where I can pull behind the sign and sit there with my kids and prepare their meals, because I have an 18-month-old, so she can't quite eat a whole hot dog yet, but I can take the shitty plastic knife and I can cut it up into a bunch of pieces, right?
Right.
Kids also love shakes and ice cream. So I always say, all right, well, let's go get hot dogs and shakes. So I get the hot dogs and I get one giant ass shake, because Portillo's gives you a shake that's literally like a gallon of milk as their large shake. So I always get extra cups, and I'm pouring the shake for my daughter, and I turn around and I go to hand it to my 18-month-old. But the funny, now you know me, right? You've now seen me, how I raised 2 children. I never baby talk the kids.
Right.
Have you, like, I don't do the whole goo goo gagu thing. I don't like.
Yeah, that wasn't really around in my family either.
Yeah, I don't mispronounce stuff. Like I like, for example, if they want a lolly. Yeah, if they want a lollipop, I don't say, how about a wowie pop or something like that, you know?
Right.
But I will talk on their level, because they are still kids, right? So my youngest daughter, Tilly, I go to hand her the cup with the shake in it that I just made her, and she goes, and I'm excited, you know, because she's excited, but, you know, talk on her level, but not baby talk. I just like hand it to her, and I'm like, yum, 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 and hand it to her, just to see this group of girls who obviously are coming back from Lollapalooza, barely wearing anything, walk right past my Jeep on the sidewalk with the top off, and stopped and looked at me like I said that to them.
Well, you know what? Don't dress like that then.
I was totally... So, in that split second, I'm like, well, I can either laugh, you know, like, ha, 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 like I was talking to my daughter. I could laugh. I could apologize and explain myself, or I could double down and then just stare at them, and that's exactly what I did.
Hey, if they don't want creepy old guys staring at them, don't go out in public looking like that, man.
It's awesome, because all I could think in their head is not only was that guy in their mind, not only was that guy a disgusting pig to me, but he did that with the top off in his Jeep and with
in front of his daughters
in the back,
in front of his kids. Yum yum yum. Oh, that's awesome.
That's just the story I wanted to tell. But like, it was totally like, because I looked up and like all 4 of them stop and look at me. And so when I look up, you know, like, because the top is off the Jeep, so it's like literally like a few.
You know
feet
what would have been?
So I just sat there like this, like I wasn't looking away until they were looking away. Like I was just like, double down on it. Why not?
You know what would have been funnier though is if you were like, yeah, I said yum yum yum, and there's 4 of you. I noticed that. I think your brother did that one time. I always wanted to, or maybe something I always wanted to do. Like, we'll go up to like some girls in the mall and be like, your friends are all cuter, but I bet you put out.
No. I know exactly what story you're talking about. I think I told you the story. So me and my brother were at the food court in a mall. I don't even really know why we were at a food court in the mall. I think it's because maybe we really wanted to go to the steakery or something. It's not like I make a habit of going to the mall. But the mall has some things sometimes that you desire. If you count up all the times in my life that I have actually gone to a mall, I would probably say it's less than 50 times I've actually been to a mall.
Wow.
I hate it. I used to fight my parents tooth and nail. Like, nope, don't want to go shopping. Like, and to this day, if my wife wants to go to the mall, I will sit in the car for 2 hours or go find something else to do and drop her off at the mall.
Well, you used to go play video games.
Yeah, I guess there was the arcades,
You know?
but when I was little, nobody would ever give me money for the arcades. And then as I got older, I just played Nintendo at home. So, anyway, so what happened is, man, I don't even know if I want to tell the story on the podcast. Okay, but anyway, what happened is my brother is a decidedly better looking guy than myself. He's tall, he's skinny, but I have hair and he doesn't. So, score one for Bryan. So these girls walk up to us rather sheepishly, and the lead girl talks to my brother and says, "Hey, my friend thinks you're kind of cute, and she'd like to talk to you." Which is dumb because, like, at this point, it's not like we were like 13 years old and doing this. Like, we were all in our 20s. So, like,
Right.
I don't know why that was the method of approach. I think that's what kind of set my brother down this path, is because if you like somebody, just go fucking tell them. Don't, like, especially in your 20s, don't go fucking
Right.
send somebody else over to. So my brother just, without missing a beat, says, "Well, I'm kind of have a girlfriend right now, but you could tell your fat lesbian friend I said hi." And it wasn't, and so here's the thing, it wasn't being a dick. It was just kind of being a dick.
Yeah, he's being a dick.
Like, see, but like, okay, so here's what people don't understand. That was so long ago. That was literally like 10, 15 years ago. Like,
yeah,
a common,
this is I think before we worked together. Your brother and I worked together 10 years ago.
yeah, it was like, back then, if you don't remember, the typical reaction would have been, "You're fucking rude," but then, like,
Yeah.
there would be no malice behind it. People would just be like, "That's fucking rude." And then they would probably just go on their way. And they'd be like, "Man, those guys are assholes." And then they probably wouldn't even think about it at all. Right?
I don't know.
But-
You
But
call a random girl a fat lesbian friend, that might ruin her week.
I don't know. But like the way it was, that wasn't the intent. You know what I mean? It was just kind of, the intent wasn't to ruin her day. It was just, the intent was just to say something outrageous in front of his friends.
I have another story that I want to relay after this one, yes. Oh, you remember, talking about ruining a girl's week over some bullshit thing.
Mhm.
You remember when that girl visited in college? She was there for a semester, and then it was like halfway through the next semester she wasn't around, then she came and visited, and I ruined her whole fucking weekend.
No.
Because I was in a bad mood. I was going through my own thing, whatever. So what I said had a lot more venom behind it than I intended to.
Okay.
But I was thinking, because I was like, this girl, she's running around to everybody. "Hey, do you miss me? Hey, do you miss me? Hey, do you miss me?" And I got tired of hearing it. So she said that to me. And I was like, I'm not going to sit here and kiss your ass because I haven't seen you in 3 months or something like that. And I turned away. And then I turned back laughing, and I was going to be like, "Oh, I'm just kidding, messing with you." By then, she had run into the bathroom and did not come out the rest of the party, crying her eyes out, and I just ruined her whole weekend.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't even apologize. I wanted to apologize to, like, "This is a joke. This is not even, like, why are you so upset?" And she was just inconsolable. Because someone that she barely even talked to, might have said something a little rude as a joke.
That's hilarious. I never heard that before. That's pretty funny.
Oh, I thought you were there for that. Yeah.
I might have
Doobie
been
was
there,
there.
but I forget.
Doobie was all like, "Dave, he wouldn't really be that mean." And we're all like, "Yeah, it's just a joke, dude." It was the girl that broke her leg.
Man, I don't remember that stuff.
She lived up above us with those crazy girls.
See, like, vaguely remember, but like, people will tell me stuff that I did like 2 years ago, and I'm like, "Dude, that never happened." Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
No, it totally happened.
that's awesome. Laugh and then start the show.
Okay.
Okay. But I was actually thinking about that being funny. If I just started like my output of requesting interview requests and then picking some of them and doing like a supplemental show to Nothing Important, just calling it the Someone Important hotline.
Ooh.
And then getting an app on my phone that just records the whole conversation. And then all the intro to that would just be like a telephone ring and like a hello, and then just a conversation, and then the hang up, and like that would be it. Like, so a little background on our interview coming up in just a few minutes. Cherkis, she is what is her title again?
Executive story editor
of Better Call Saul. And
right.
here's the funny thing about being unemployed. For somebody who's unemployed, I seem to have less time now to do this stuff than I did when I was working 60 hours a week at my last job. So Anne was awesome because classic. I found her on Twitter. I said, hey, this is who we are. This is what we'd like to do. She wrote me back like, hey, let's go through the appropriate channels. So we wrote our buddy at AMC, who's helped us out quite a bit. He facilitated the conversation. We had to push it back twice. Then on the day that we could do it, you had to fly solo because I had just a day just full of stuff of picking up people at the airport and getting things together. And on top of that, I still wasn't even able to listen to the interview that you sent me until last night. And great job, my friend. I was pretty impressed, and it kind of pisses me off because you're way better at this than I am.
I wouldn't say that. The only market improvement is that, or is it an improvement? You don't hear the word awesome as much.
That's true. Yeah,
it's been a running joke we've been kind of on lately.
Yeah, it's funny. Dave talks to a lot of people that listen to our podcast, and it's been brought up to Dave that I use the word awesome a lot. And that's very true. And I told my wife that, and she said the same thing I had, where she said, if they think you use the word awesome on the show a lot, like they should hang out with you in real life. Because really, I think 90% of things are awesome. It's
a great word.
Yeah. First off, it's a fun word to say. And that is, even in the worst of times, I really don't think I have much to complain about. So for me, a lot of things are just awesome. So,
yeah.
And by nature of my job too, absolutely. I throw absolutely around a lot too, but it's just because by nature of my profession, I say absolutely a ton. So it just becomes part of my daily vernacular. Like, for example, I'm a relatively polite guy, so I'll hold doors open for people like on the street or going into a store. And of course they'll say thank you. And instead of saying sure thing or you're welcome, I'm always like, absolutely. Like just like I would at work. Absolutely. My pleasure. Which sounds even weirder when you're out on the street because they're like, oh, well, thanks for letting me cut in line since I only have two items. Absolutely. My pleasure. And then that probably sounds 10 times creepier.
But I always say, what do I say? No problem. I say no worries. I picked up no worries out in California. Everybody out in California says no worries.
Right. It's just that chill back.
Yeah.
Chill out, chill back type.
Yeah, no worries.
I didn't even say a real phrase there. Chill back? What the fuck is that? Anyway, Okay, so anyway, back to Ann Cherkis. A couple things from your interview. One, once again, great job.
Thank you, sir.
Two, it's funny to me that she actually she actually listened to our podcast before she worked on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, and then she agreed to come on it.
Yeah. So I guess we're not too alienating. We're slightly.
I didn't ask her opinion. I mean, you'll hear the interview obviously, but I did not ask her opinion of our show.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a safe move.
I was kind of scared too.
But it was fun because when we talk to the people who are actors and such, asking about the process and such, it's fun to kind of get an inside look at the writer's room and kind of some of their processes and get the general feel of something that's very closed off from the rest of the world, including people that are just like rabid fans of the TV show.
Right. I think she missed my joke though.
That's okay. I missed her jokes too.
Well, she's talking about Post-it notes on the wall, and I was making a joke about throwing darts at it.
Well, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, you did about throwing darts. But then what was interesting about that is I think why she missed the joke is because she went on right after that to state there is actually a system that they have in place where they use the index cards. Because I think he talked about throwing darts at the index cards on the dartboard for show ideas, and she started talking about how they actually have show ideas on the index cards.
Right.
And so I think it wasn't that she missed the joke so much as just coincidentally you kind of hit upon a tool a tool that they use. So in her mind it wasn't a joke. It was like, oh, well, this guy knows about the index cards, so yeah, this is what we do with the index cards.
They do that. That's actually pretty common. I think South Park's 6 Days of Air had that in there too. You see it a lot in movies and stuff. It's the storyboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dave, before we head out to the interview with Ann Cherkis, what were your thoughts? How do you think you did in the interview?
I thought I did pretty well in the interview, honestly. The openings and the closings I need work on. I didn't say anything about her background or ask her to promote anything of hers, stuff like that I forget about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more into the conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm a good conversationalist. I'm a good listener.
Right on.
And I tried to jump right in, and she was like, are we going? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, hold on a second. Let me do the intro.
Because I guess Ann doesn't do a lot of interviews. The writers probably aren't as used to being peppered with questions or talking to strangers over the phone about their line of work like the actors are.
It was smooth, though. I mean, she relaxed or was relaxed. I think we were both kind of nervous. We both relaxed, and It was a good time.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, I enjoyed listening to it, and obviously once you get this all mixed and we get it posted on the thread, I'm obviously going to listen to it again. Excellent job, and I hope everybody out there enjoys Dave's chat with Ann Cherkis, the
executive story editor for Better Call Saul.
Joining us on the Someone Important hotline is Ann Cherkis, executive story editor and writer for Better Call Saul. Ann, thanks for joining It's All Good, man.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So we were just briefly speaking. You've actually heard our show before, so that puts me a lot more at ease, and I appreciate that and flattered and humbled by that. And you did mention that season 1, you were just a fan of the show, and by season 2, you were working on the show. So tell our fans a little bit about that.
Well, it was pretty cool, how it ended up working out. Certainly nothing I ever expected. I was just, I knew, of course, I was a huge Breaking Bad fan, and was very much looking forward to Better Call Saul. And so I watched season 1 and I loved it. And I was, looking for other things, to other media that was talking about the show. And I stumbled upon your podcast. And then I got a phone call really out of the blue, which ultimately led to the job. So, and so I knew the show already.
That's pretty interesting. A lot of people that we've talked to have always had some kind of a very, very entertaining story about how they got into it, or maybe how they found out they got hired, or just some kind of random. Yeah. I mean, I guess probably most stories in Hollywood are pretty crazy and coincidental, a lot of networking and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, stuff doesn't necessarily happen easily in this business, and I don't exactly know why that is. But yeah, I mean, in my situation, I was actually committed to working on another show when I got the phone call. So it was a little bit tough, because it was something that I just couldn't say no to, but I also had an obligation to another show. And so I had to sort of work that out. And it was looking at first like I was going to have to turn them down. And, but it eventually all worked out. So I was very grateful to the other show. They, and it was ABC Family who let me out of my contract. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it was sort of a legal matter. And then I came into the writer's room for season 2 about 5 weeks late. So they had already started before I came in.
Wow. And then you just have to jump in and kind of just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard, and I mean, to their credit, Peter and Vince were, incredibly cool about the whole thing, and said, look, just, they're like, look, obviously, there's no pressure at first because. You're coming in here blind, and, we've never had a situation where we had a writer come in after the room started. So they were just like, just sit back and listen and, take your time kind of jumping in. And they were great.
That's a very common sentiment. Bryan and I talk about it all the time. We're not shy about the fact that we started this podcast to kind of get fans to our other podcast, basically. We're both Breaking Bad fans, and we picked this show, and then it blew up, you know, and we're like, holy cow, we picked the right show. And you must feel, I mean, on a whole nother level, the same way with all the awards and the accolades. Like, you got into the show.
Oh, my God.
And it's one of the biggest shows on television right now.
I know, and I'm still pinching myself, you know. I mean, I am. I mean, I worked on season 2, and now we started working on season 3, and I just, even now, every day when I walk into the office, I kind of pinch myself, and I feel incredibly grateful because, yeah, I mean, there are so many amazing shows out there, you know, as everyone says, there are too many. And so to be, you know, to be working on a show that's recognized is, you know, your odds are not good.
Right.
Even if, you know, these other shows I'm talking about are really good. It's just, there are only so many shows that can, you know, be nominated. So yeah.
Yeah. Especially
it's crazy.
Yeah, especially with the binge watching, and you know, I don't know if cable viewership is down, but it seems to be that, you know, this show is getting people to tune in to watch it as it airs, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, which is amazing. And look, I mean, it is a great show, but also I think, you know, for Breaking Bad fans out there, I mean, there was sort of a built-in audience already. I mean, at the very least, people were going to tune in at first
right,
to see, you know, what it was, but you know, it didn't necessarily mean that people would keep tuning in.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I know for me as a fan, I was thrilled with the first season. I just thought it was so great, and you know, nobody knew, including, by the way, Vince and Peter, what the show is going to be. I mean, they sort of had an idea, but you know, you never know until you start doing it.
Right. And so much of it,
and then even
I would say so much of it is done kind of as it's going. Like you're starting later episodes before other episodes are even finished, so it's kind of fluid.
Yeah, I mean, as they've talked about, you know, in many interviews, I mean, the way that they work, the way that Vince works and now Vince and Peter work, that they, you know, we don't really talk ahead that much. So we just go from episode to episode. And so, yeah, we never know really what's going to happen.
Does that happen? Sorry. Does that happen to help with separating maybe like the Breaking Bad stuff from the Better Call Saul? Because you're coming in as a fan of Breaking Bad, and I would imagine there has to be some sort of conscious decision to not let too much influence how you work on Better Call Saul.
Yes, I mean, yes, I think, you know, I mean, you know, it doesn't come up every single day, but it definitely comes up that, you know, if somebody in the room pitches an idea to have, you know, a character come in from Breaking Bad, it's, you know, we talk about it endlessly, you know, before that happens. It's, you know, and many times it's discussed and the decision ends up being, no, we're not going to put them in, you know, so they definitely err on the side of being incredibly careful, and that, you know, it has to feel organic to this show.
And that comes off, at least as far as we're concerned, and from the feedback we've gotten from our fans and people we talk to, is that it has been organic. It's not forced or heavy-handed. There's been a couple times where, like, Bryan will text me or I'll text him, like, oh, hey, did you catch that, you know, Breaking Bad character's like, oh, no, I kind of missed it. And it's
right.
Nice.
Because some of them are not, you know, some of them are smaller characters that just had, you know, a bit part in Breaking Bad. And yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, we definitely don't do it as a stunt or anything. It's,
right.
You know, is there somebody from the other show that makes sense in this show? And, so yeah, it's, I mean, it's always sort of there as an option, but they're very careful about that and the crossover.
So as far as season 1, what is one of your favorite moments from season 1 that really got you excited about working on season 2?
That's a really good question. I mean, first of all, just meeting the Chuck McGill character, I thought was great. I mean, obviously he's not someone who was ever on Breaking Bad. So right. I loved that, you know, we learned that Jimmy has this brother. I mean, I think for me, my favorite scenes of that season, and the one that is most memorable is just Jimmy diving into that dumpster, outside of Sandpiper, and just that scene, and how, just how great Bob is, and just how funny it was, but it also is such a great character moment for him, because it spoke to his tenacity,
right.
to get those documents, and then just the way that they crafted that scene, where the reveal at the end that actually the documents are in the shredding and the recycling, that they weren't even in there, and that was just right next to the dumpster. And I thought that was great. So yeah, I think that's a good one for me.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love, is how interjected little bits of humor, or just like really grounding it and making things relatable a lot of times, or making you chuckle at an awkward moment sometimes. That's what I love about
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the tone that this show has struck. It and I think that's just honestly a product of the personalities in the room.
It seems to be.
Vince and Peter are both actually really funny, even though when they do interviews and things, that might not come across. I don't know, but they're really, really funny. And so I think whenever there's a chance to inject any kind of humor, they, unless it's too broad, I think that would be the only reason not to do it. But if it fits in with the tone, they're all for it. And
right.
I personally love that.
I can definitely say from their interviews, it seems that they're at least very good-humored and good-natured people,
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. And, and the thing is, I spend so much time with them because I'm in that room for, many, many hours a day, 5 days a week. And, you really get to know people when
right.
you spend that much time with them. I mean, frankly, we all spend more time together than we do with our families, because, this is the nature of this type of job. Yeah, exactly. And so you really do get to know people as well as, it's interesting because I haven't known them for that long, but I feel like I have.
And you came in late, but you were still kind of accepted into the group, right? And not.
Yeah, which was also, I was nervous about that.
Right.
And everyone was very cool about it, and very accepting, and very inclusive, and I was very grateful for that.
No hazing or making you earn your stripes or anything, or just nothing you can talk about on the podcast?
Not really. I think for the most part, when they were very respectful. But now, as I've gotten to know people more, especially now that I'm working on another season with them, there is a little bit more of that. But no, initially they are incredibly polite.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I know. It could have gone the other way, but
right. Well, it's in my industry, because I am actually an audio engineer, so there is a lot of trial by fire, and you have to earn your stripes everywhere you go, and I was wondering, different groups have their thing,
No, absolutely. And there is some of that. I think that until I wrote my episode, I can't speak for everybody else, but I know for me how I felt like until I wrote that and people read it, even before they saw the episode, that was sort of my, trial by fire. Just like, okay, so do these people, so they understand maybe why I got hired, right. And I wasn't just there.
Helps you prove your mettle a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, what exactly does an executive story supervisor do? I'm sorry, executive story editor. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because even though we all have these titles, that we actually all really do the same thing. That is more a product of how the TV business works and how TV staffs work. I think it is different on every show. There's certainly some shows, and it really, in the end of the day, depends on the showrunner. But at some shows, your title your job is different depending on what your title is, but in this case, it's very democratic, and it doesn't matter if you're, an executive producer like Tom Schnauz or Jenny, or if you're a staff writer, and really it's the only thing that it affects is your salary.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably a pay grade thing or something. Yeah.
It's just this ladder of, it's this hierarchy that is really mostly about, about your contract with
right.
Sony and that. It in our room, it doesn't mean anything really except for you are one of the writers in that writer's room, and you pitch and you write and you go on set, and everybody does that.
Nice. That's so it's kind of like on your own to keep too many cooks out of the kitchen or something. Like you said, it's democratic. Like a lot of people have input in how scripts go and how the story progresses, or does like someone come up with a rough draft? I don't know. I don't want to get too detailed or ask too many questions, but I'm very curious about that.
No. I mean, basically, the way it works is that everybody in the room pitches ideas. Obviously, depending on what we're talking about, and then Peter and Vince are the ones who decide what ends up going into the show.
Okay.
So they decide. Basically, every show does this differently, but we have bulletin boards up in our writer's room, and we use index cards, and somebody writes on those cards with Sharpies, and we basically put them up on the bulletin board. We have teaser, act 1, act 2, act 3, act 4, and it all goes up on this board. Okay. And then whoever's writing that particular episode uses what's on the cards and also what's in the notes that our writer's assistant, Ariel, takes. And we craft our outline from that. And then from the outline, we write our script.
Oh, wow. That's actually very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not throwing darts at the index cards, randomly picking a plot or something.
Yeah. The index cards are like, with everyone, we're very serious about this process in terms of, it has to be just so. I mean, and there's some superstition involved too. Like we only use certain cards, and the Sharpie has to have a lot of ink in it. And, there's sort of this interesting ritual behind the whole thing, which I think really comes from I think it comes from Vince, actually.
Yeah, I've been. I don't know if it's a weird relation, but I was in a band, and we had like every group that I get involved in. There's rituals. Like this, it's just a group thing, I guess. Exactly. You kind of make it your own group by having your little rituals.
You make it your own, exactly. And I know that they work this way on Breaking Bad. So with the new show, they Vince just wanted to keep going with that particular ritual.
That is,
and so here we are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Which will segue us into my last question. Speaking of rituals, we ask all of our guests this: what is your favorite frozen pizza?
What is my favorite frozen pizza?
Yes.
That's an interesting question. I would say that. All right, I'm going to say the ones that are made by California Pizza Kitchen.
Okay. I've never had one of those.
You've never had those? So, there's those restaurants. It's a chain, and they sell their pizzas in grocery stores. And the one that I really like is the barbecue chicken.
Oh, wow. Barbecue chicken, California Pizza Kitchen, frozen pizza.
Yeah. It's very, very specific.
No, that's all. Well, yeah, mine is I'm Tombstone sausage done. That's it. Pretty standard.
Yeah.
But the question throws some people off. It's pretty funny.
No, it is funny, and I'm glad actually I had an answer, because I could have very easily been stuttering and had no answer for you.
Some of the Better Call Saul people had to like add ingredients to their frozen pizza, and I always took that as a sin. Like, you don't add ingredients to a frozen pizza, dude. Just throw it in the oven, cook it. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's you throw it in the oven and cook it. I mean, it's I have made my own pizza, but that's different.
Well, Bryan Cherkis, thank you so much for joining us on It's All Good, Man. Congratulations on all your success and becoming a member of a show that you're actually a fan of. It's a pretty incredible goal for anybody in their life. So kudos to that. And thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
Our fans appreciate it. And hopefully we can talk again, maybe with Bryan next time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I hope people enjoy hearing what it's like to work on Better Call Saul.
We're pretty nerdy. I think everybody will like it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Okay. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay. Take care.
Be sure to follow Nothing Important online at nothingimportantpodcast.com. Find us on iTunes, on Twitter at NotImportantPC, and you can also find us on Facebook. Nothing Important is recorded with help from Third City Sound in Joliet, Illinois. Thanks for being awesome.